Okay, time for a new video, and whether you are somebody new to my channel or you are returning to my channel to watch this video, it's greatly appreciated. As always, I'm filming this in one go, therefore I apologise in advance if I stumble over my words going forwards, and indeed if the quality of this video is fairly poor as well. If there's any lag, anything like that at all, sadly it can't be helped, and hopefully it's not too much of an issue for you. Today is yet another Eurovision related video here on my channel, Eurovision 2021 related to be precise, because today there's been a little bit of news from the European Broadcasting Union. It's on the official Eurovision website. There's a video on the official Eurovision YouTube channel as well. You've probably already seen it. And it regards how Eurovision 2021 could take place. There are 4 different scenarios, and one of them will happen. No doubt about it. The EBU have come out and said that Eurovision 2021 is going to happen no matter what with regards to the global pandemic. Now, I've briefly gone through all the information, and I've watched the minute-and-a-half long video or whatever it is, and I'm just going to go through the information in this video too, and then feel free to leave your comments down below. What do you think realistically is going to happen with regards to next year's contest? I'm just glad that it's definitely going to go ahead. But let's not forget that this year's Junior Eurovision is going to be very different. There's less countries participating, although Germany have decided to join the party. And how that is going to work later this year is that each act is going to perform in their own country, and all of those performances are going to be bunched together in the live show, I assume, and then you'll be able to vote for your winner as usual. It's all, in my opinion, a bit of a test run, an almost trial, I guess. And if that goes fairly well, then the EBU will take a look at that and say, okay, it worked for Junior Eurovision, now it can work for something even bigger. So I'm looking on the official Eurovision website here. I'm going to read the article out. I don't know who wrote it, but obviously these words are theirs. It says, after Duncan Lawrence's victory in Tel Aviv in 2019, the Netherlands was ready to organise the Eurovision Song Contest after 40 long years. But as you know, that didn't exactly go as planned. Due to the impact of the coronavirus, the 2020 contest was cancelled. Thankfully, the Eurovision Song Contest will definitely return in 2021, and on the 22nd of May, a new winner will be crowned. In order to be able to make that promise, the EBU and Dutch host broadcasters NPO, NOS and Avrotros have been working on 4 basic scenarios for hosting the competition. Now, I'm sure more details about these scenarios will be revealed to us fans in due course, but no decision will be made until the early months of next year. So I would assume that by February 2021, which is when national finals really start to pick up, we will know what sort of Eurovision we're going to get. So, Scenario A is a normal contest. That's what we're all hoping for. And for some reason, the page is not showing everything that I need to read aloud. But yes, Scenario A, Scenario 1, whatever you want to call it, that's what we want. We want as normal a contest as possible. It says here, in this situation, the Eurovision Song Contest will be organised as normal from Rotterdam's Ahoy Arena with 9 shows, including the dress rehearsals, in a packed venue, with delegations and artists from all the participating broadcasters and numerous activities in and around Rotterdam. The feasibility of this scenario largely depends on the rollout of a possible vaccine for COVID-19 or the availability of reliable testing. At the moment, there is no vaccine, but I know that many vaccines are being worked on, and I have to say, surely very soon there's going to be one. Surely, because so many are being worked on, and I've heard good things about some vaccines as well. Let me know what it's like in your country. Is your country working on a vaccine? I don't know what the situation is like exactly in the Netherlands. That's the one that we really need to keep an eye on, of course. But at this moment in time, 18th of September 2020, I don't think Scenario A is going to happen. But who knows? After Christmas this year, maybe things might be different. Scenario B is a socially distant Eurovision at 1.5 meters. Everyone present at Eurovision in Rotterdam would need to practice social distancing, which most people are doing anyway these days, and remain 1.5 meters from each other at all times. There would be 9 shows with an audience, but with limited capacity. So essentially, a Eurovision from the 1970s, for example, because that's what it used to be like then. Not social distancing, but with quite a limited crowd, I guess. To allow for social distancing, teams from each participating broadcaster would travel to Rotterdam, but with limits on the number of people in each delegation and on the number of press who could attend. Activities in and around the city would be adapted accordingly. Because there would be less space for the audience in this scenario, a new seating layout would have to be made. I'm sure that wouldn't be too difficult. If that happens, a fair draw will be held to decide who can still attend each show. There will be more information about this in the first months of next year. Anyone who is unsuccessful in the draw will, of course, be refunded the full purchase amount for their tickets. And I don't know if it says here about people who had tickets for this year's show and how that's going to work for next year. I don't know. Scenario C, which is really a sort of worst case scenario almost, and I think scenario B would be fine. Scenario C and D, I think would be very unenjoyable. Myself, a Eurovision Song Contest, scenario C, probably also social distanced, more than likely, from Rotterdam's Ahoy Arena, as in scenario B, with 9 shows and a limited number of audience members in the arena. If there are any delegations who cannot travel to Rotterdam, their artists will perform from their own country. So can you imagine, for example, Sweden's act on that big stage in Rotterdam, and it looks fantastic, and then we cross over to, no offence to anybody from this country, but we cross over to Moldova, and their act is performing in a tiny studio. That's quite unfair. But that's the way it could be. And I think that if this scenario goes ahead, I think we're going to have, I don't know, a really disappointing show. For me, quite an unenjoyable show. I want to see all the acts on. I want a normal contest. We all want a normal contest. I just think that some countries are going to struggle because, you know, the sound quality and what's going to happen in terms of crossing over. If a country gets 12 points, we're going to see them sitting in this little studio somewhere. I don't know how it's going to work at all, really. All performances in the shows will be brought together in Rotterdam. The entries of the countries that are allowed to travel and the opening and interval acts will still be performed live. Scenario D is the absolute worst case scenario. Should the Netherlands end up in a lockdown-like situation again, there will be a Eurovision Song Contest without an audience and probably without activities in and around Rotterdam. The performances of the participants will all come from their own country and be brought together from Rotterdam's Ahoy Arena, much like we will see at the Junior Eurovision Song Contest this upcoming November. A definitive choice between scenarios will be made based on the situation in the early months of 2021. Host broadcasters NPO, NOS and Avrotros have 2 years of preparation time. When we, that's whoever wrote this article, the EBU, whoever, talked to Sietse Bakker, who is the executive producer of the contest for what would have been this year and definitely next year, back in May, he said, as a public broadcaster, when you win Eurovision, you want to make the best contest ever. You want to do better than the previous year. A lot of work has been done and a lot of knowledge has been gathered. We have learned a lot over the last year, but I also know that the months ahead will be challenging. We have to think of how we can make the contest happen, no matter what. It brings new challenges, but the ambition to make it happen and to make the best contest to date, that ambition is definitely still there. I'm telling you now, if it's situation C or D, it will not be the best contest ever. If it's situation B, potentially, all depends on the quality of the songs as well, and if it's situation A, we are all very happy. I've seen information just now that Eleni Foureira has apparently been approached to represent Cyprus again, and that would get a lot of people very interested indeed. But obviously, there are so many things we don't know yet. Will some countries say, you know what, even if the contest does go ahead, I don't feel comfortable going? An artist might be approached and that musician might say, I don't feel comfortable doing it. You've got members of the delegations, you've got the press, and not just from Europe, all around the world, Australia as well, let's not forget. It's really, really difficult. This year's Junior Eurovision, like I said, it's a bit of a trial. If it's successful, great. If it's unsuccessful, things need to be worked on. Personally, I think Junior Eurovision is going to be very strange and maybe disappointing. I'll tell you why, because of the voting. Because if you can vote for your own country, well, I've already made it clear what I think about that in previous videos. But anyway, that's going off on a side note. That's what it says on the official Eurovision website. The theme will stay the same, open up. The slogan was originally intentionally incomplete when it was chosen for Eurovision 2020. Incomplete, yes. Feel the freedom to complete the slogan in your own way. We found it important to choose a theme that reflects the spirit of our times. With the slogan, we warmly invite people to open up to others, to different opinions, each other's stories, and of course to each other's music. The hosts will stay the same as well, and the stage design will also stay the same. That's what I was sort of touching upon earlier. Some countries might be present with this fantastic staging and, you know, great choreography potentially. It might look incredible. And then let's cross over to a tiny studio somewhere in Europe where the sound quality might not be great and it's not going to be visually appealing, and all in all it's going to feel a little bit flat and disappointing. That country might really struggle as a result. And then in the results we might see that. I don't know. Let me know what you think. There is another article here that I'm going to just take a look at. So yes, there are 4 scenarios and one will definitely happen. And I think this article is pretty much the same. We of course hope for scenario A. That would be fantastic. That's what the older man of the host city, Saeed Kasmi, said. So yeah. More in-depth interviews with Martin Österdahl and Jolanda Jansen to follow. Really, there's not much more to say. I've made it clear what I'd like to happen. Scenario A usual Eurovision Song Contest. I'm hopeful that will happen. I really am. Scenario B seems the most likely at this point. Scenario C sounds really quite rubbish. And Scenario D, what's the point? And I've seen a few comments already online, people saying, well, we've got these 4 scenarios for 2021. Surely we could have had Eurovision this year with one of those other scenarios. But it would have been very difficult, I guess. And what am I trying to say here? In terms of organisation, it would have been a logistical nightmare, potentially, to have Eurovision later in the year. Really, really difficult. Anyway, that's all I've got to say. Didn't really go into huge amounts of depth, because we're waiting for even more information moving forwards, and we just don't know what's going to happen with this virus. Here in the UK, cases have surged again, I think due to a combination of lockdown being eased and also people being very silly, and a lot of people still not wearing masks, I would go ahead and say. I'm being as safe as I can be. You know, I'm working in an environment with lots of different people, so we've all got to try and be safe. Let me know what the situation is like where you are. Maybe you're from Spain, maybe you're from the Netherlands, maybe you're from Latvia, or maybe you're not from Europe at all, but you are very interested in the contest. Do you think Eurovision will go ahead as normal? Realistically, I know it's months away, but do you think Eurovision will go ahead as normal, or do you think we will have a very different Eurovision? Let me know about Junior Eurovision. Will you be watching it? I'm sure it will be streamed online again. Do you think there will be issues? Do you think that it will be successful because it's not going to be a usual Junior Eurovision? Oh dear, what a messy year it's been. This year was shaping up to be a great Eurovision as well, with so many great songs, a potential first-time winner, Iceland, Bulgaria. Next year it will be very, very interesting to see what goes down, and will it be a Eurovision that we hope and want, or will it be something very different? I'm starting to repeat myself now. I'm glad that it's definitely going to go ahead, and I believe it will go ahead, but realistically for me, scenario B is the most likely at this point. A social distance venue with the seating plan and everything, and a more subdued atmosphere potentially. I don't know. It's all up in the air. Until next time, I don't know when that will be, whenever we get even more Eurovision 2021 news. Until next time, thank you very much for watching. Links in the description as always to my other social media pages. Feel free to leave comments. Take care of yourselves, and bye for now.